than durable, but you've got damage output, you've got a high degree of mobility to work with on that particular hero, but not someone that we really see all that often in the current meta.
And something that maybe Infamous are feeling comfortable with because it has that secondary silence. Last time we saw this Earth Spirit picked up, we saw it paired with that Mariano Death Prophet, and it was incredibly difficult for the enemy team to fight. It felt like every single time they would go in on a target, if they didn't have a picture-perfect initiation, you have those silences to really hurt you. And specifically, Ricky is one of the best heroes versus the Invoker. If you get on top of him, he really has very few options. He has to go for that Force Staff, and if you have to go Force Staff BKB on Invoker, you are pretty sad. Unfortunately, there is now the Wraith King on the field, one of the most proven heroes. We didn't see it valued too much in that previous series, but throughout the entire tournament, this Wraith King really has been a staple. As soon as the TA, the Luna, the Morphling, all of those S tier heroes are out, there's still the Wraith King kind of on the outside looking in, where if you dump too many spells on him for that first life, he just comes back, immediately starts to right-click you. The only issue they have right now in D2 Hustlers is this puck, despite being first pick, has gone majorly unanswered. They had the opportunity to pick up that line in the first phase, instead valuing the Divilomid Timbersaw, which, of course, we've spoken about the value it provides so much, but this puck is going to have a free time. It's going to be something you're going to have to contend with, and we've seen KXY Faker many times before be able to pull his team out, be able to make those very easy rotations. And Papa Tootie, he's not on a wind, he's not on one of those, not on a Void Spirit, not on one of those heroes that really likes to rotate out of those lanes too early. You really are only going to see him get active maybe level 6, level 7 when he has that second, or rather that third or fourth point up in the Wex. But he doesn't like doing that either. He likes going for that 2-2-2 Invoker build. He likes having that efficiency, having all of his spells available to him. So I'm a little bit worried that D2 Hustlers are going to get out-rotated because, again, they've kind of gotten as far as they have by playing these very greedy lineups and getting away with it. And I think if Infamous can sort of hold them to their lineup, then they should be able to pull ahead in at least 2 out of the 3 of their lanes.
Yeah, it just seems, well, like a bit of an interesting scenario. Speaking of sort of interesting scenarios, the bans coming out here in phase 3. D2 Hustlers are not really convinced that KXY is going to be playing that puck. They ban out both the Huskar and the Void Spirit, so I suppose Mariano could take the puck to the off lane. Maybe they could even swing the Viper into a core position and put the puck at the 5. That's really a strat that doesn't exist much anymore, but a couple of South American teams still throw it out every once in a while, but D2 Hustlers seem to think that something's sort of up here, so they will remove a couple of those further mid lane options, and we'll just have to sort of wait and see whether that hunch proves correct, as D2 Hustlers are now on the clock for their final pick. Should be looking for that position for hero for Frugos here, and well, really, what do they want? The Lion's gone, the Nyx is gone, Shadow Shaman and Dark Willow were banned away as well. We saw Frugos on the Hoodwink yesterday. He played it fairly well, but in this scenario, you don't really have anyone that you specifically need it against, but not going to be the Hoodwink, instead the Rubik for the D2 Hustlers side.
Yeah, a hero that, again, their lineup loves to play with those ranged fours. They like to get the stacks going, especially for Yuma. Of course, Wraith King, not the best stack taker. Don't have any of those super big steroids to be able to help you farm a little bit faster. But Rubik immediately slots into that position where you seal the Nether Toxin. Viper is very sad. I feel like because of that pick, this has to be a Viper 5, and that's why the bans do feel a little bit alien to me. I understand that you do want Papa Tootie to not get shut out. You need to fear the infamous last pick. But at the same time, I really feel like there's only 1 or 2 ways that this lineup could go. There were a lot of offlaners banned out. Well, actually, no, not really. I mean, they could go for the Centaur. They could go for... Yeah, interesting. I really felt like the reason that the bans were sort of the way they were was because Marion would be struggling to find a hero to play, but... Okay, that's very different. Sort of the green-purple strat coming out, but that's a very obnoxious hero that Yuma's going to have to contend with. A hero that we really haven't seen valued unless there was maybe a Spectre pick on the field. That is completely out of left field, but again, this is going to be Infamous trying to hold D2 Hustlers to their greedy lineup, and if they can win 3 out of 3 lanes, I mean, Infamous, they've been playing at a pace that we haven't seen before, so this is going to be a very aggressive laning phase coming out from really all sides on the Infamous side.
It just feels like their pace is going to be a little bit faster than what their opponents are going to be able to potentially match up against.
Yeah, and what if Pendago doesn't end up going versus A? I mean, then you have the Rubik, which it's sort of playing against you now. If the Rubik has to end up laning versus this Necro, he's going to be completely fine with that. Rubik is not good at trading in lane. That's why we see that hero sort of not picked, because really in the past, there's only been 2 or 3 players who've been able to sort of supersede that weak laning phase. And now honestly, this last pick, Necro, the more I think about it, the more it makes sense to me. I really like what Infamous have sort of pulled together here.
I mean, like you said, it kind of takes a little while to sort of hit to a certain extent, right? You look at this lineup and you think sort of what exactly is the game plan here? But it does kind of look good. I mean, they've got damage, they've got lockdown, they are going to hit hard, and is it going to be hard enough? I'm not entirely sure, but it just seems unorthodox but potentially effective as we do load into game 1 of this best of 3. As we said before, this is an elimination series, so one of these 2 teams will be going home. The other is going to advance to those lower bracket finals to face off against Undying tomorrow. So, I mean, this is really it. Do or die time. These 2 teams have to sort of show out, and it's been an interesting one. I do want to point out at this point, the last time these 2 teams faced off against each other in the group stage, it was a 1-1 split, so very much, I would say, sort of an even matchup right now, and we'll just see sort of who had the better game plan and who has the momentum after sort of making some pushes through those previous rounds in the lower bracket, as we do see Pandago getting pretty far in here. He doesn't even have a ward or anything along those lines. This was just sort of a bit of a scouting mission for him, but he's really not going to run into much of anything.
And I do think with Pendago being where he is, of course, everyone can sort of end up wherever they want at this point. But the Abaddon versus the POS5 Viper, it's a lane matchup that we saw in the Cut versus 2-base series, where you are just able to purge off those poison attack stacks. It makes your offlaner's lane just that little bit easier. You don't have to be too afraid. But at the same time, it sort of compounds the issue of if Mariano has a very nice lane, if he's able to get ahead level-wise, then Yuma is going to get completely shut out. This Necro counters the Wraith King pretty much perfectly. You're always able to heal those creeps up just out of that range where maybe the Mortal Strike misses. You get a few more denies than you otherwise would. We already see that Wraith King is one of those safe lines where the power spike really is around that level 4 mark, where you have 2 points in that Vampiric Spirit and followed by the Mortal Strike. And getting to that point, it's going to be a little bit hard with the Rubik. While Frugos is able to get those range creep last hits, I do think that if this top lane goes a little bit too well, it's one of those situations where the repercussions are going to be felt sort of all across the map. If you ever are able to leave Mariano alone comfortably, then Michael's going to start going mid. He's going to start making plays on your Invoker. And again, Papa Tutti, he is going to be that hero that needs to rotate for his team. We see his team really struggle whenever he decides, or not decides, but just sort of ends up having a bad game. And if they fall behind too much, again, up until you have this level 6 on the Vi, you aren't going to be seeing many rotations coming in from this Timber Saw. You're not going to be seeing much activity coming out from them.
Yeah, it's just, as you sort of said, we've seen it multiple times with Papa Tutti. He had been sort of getting better about it in recent times, but on that Invoker, a lot of situations where the rotations aren't quite working, but he also isn't really someone who just sort of straight up prioritizes just heavy farming either. So if he doesn't get off to a good start, it could be a bit of a struggle because Devi isn't really going to be looking to move all that early, and the Wraith King isn't going to be looking to really fight at all in the early stages of this game. So they're either going to need for Devi to just straight up control that lane or for Papa Tutti to try and get active early. But right now, he is experiencing some difficulties. KXY's sort of pushed him all the way back under the tower. Not really sure there's kill potential here as Papa Tutti does throw the cold snap down, but KXY is able to dodge out pretty much all of it and simply back away.
Yeah, and Papa Tutti, we've seen him sort of get shut out by some of these high skill matchups, and you do see KXY pulling ahead in the last hits just a little bit, but this is something you should be sort of accustomed to with the Invoker. You are sort of the punching bag of the mid lane. Aside from getting last hits with Tornado, there really isn't too much you can do, but man, KXY is really working this matchup.
This is so aggressive from the puck, but gotta manage the aggro. Goes in for the Waning Rift, though. That does connect, but I don't know if KXY has
so obnoxious.
Oh, Orb comes in, not going to connect. He'll jump away, but Papa Tutti just wants this guy to leave him alone, but KXY just won't back off. At this point, he's starting to run a little bit low on mana. Doesn't have enough for the full combo there with the Orb and the Rift, so I believe that is going to force him to back off now, but nope, bottle's just delivered. So he's going to be able to sort of fuel back up, and the aggression could continue. This is just sort of, I don't know,
In
unexpected.
top?
It's top lane, yep. What's going on here? We got Yuma in a bit of
Oh.
a fight. Mariano, he was so unbelievably close there to getting off that Death Pulse. Might have been enough to both keep him alive and take Yuma down. Instead, the Wraith King gets the final hit in, and that's going to be first blood going D2 Hustler's way, but that is an incredibly close and very risky fight, really, for both teams.
Yeah, and now you are going to get Yuma closer to that level 4 point where maybe he can trade up just that little bit easier, but still, Mariano, he is going to be obnoxious. He's been actually keeping up. Yuma has been able to get a lot of these last hits, which I'm a little bit surprised, but again, there is a way of pushing into him, so maybe there is even more last hits for him to get. And Mariano going down like that, just overestimating his HP a little bit, not having that Ghost Shroud just yet, because really, why would you? And you are sort of triple waved here, so Yuma does need to be a little bit cautious, but... Ooh.
Turns around for the stun.
No creeps for him, though. Nothing that Wraithen can do.
So, it was worth an attempt. Maybe if Michael actually hit with the rolling boulder there at the start, they could have gone for it, but he was still able to get down the slow, and it's at least some harassment in onto Yuma, but at this point, your Wraith King was passed to Salve. He's got a point up in that spirit, so he's got that little bit of lifesteal as well, and he should be okay for now. But those are the kinds of plays Infamous are potentially going to be able to make maybe a bit more frequently as they pick up further levels. Michael is not going to sort of sit on his hands here and play passively. It's just not his style. He's going to be looking to make moves, and you see him making his way back up now. See if they can maybe bait someone like the Wraith King or the Rubik forward a little bit to go after this play, but as of right now, no one's really falling for it. In fact, Frugos is just going to sort of pull the creep wave back to the camp, and Michael, maybe he can take some of the last hits, but outside of that, there's really not a whole lot to be done here.
And really, they struck a little bit too soon, I think. I'm not sure who is the aggressor in that situation, but if Mariano is able to stabilize, I'm not sure what he has coming out. Maybe it's another null? No, he's got a chainmail of himself, or for himself, so now it should be a lot more difficult for Mariano to die. Really, the only chance he should be dying is if Papatuti makes that rotation, but until then, we are sort of continuing to see him and KXY trade blows. The matchup is definitely evened out a little bit more, as I think KXY got a little bit unlucky there. I think Papatuti was able to get a water rune out from underneath him, so gonna see the puck sort of slink back and heal up a little bit more.
Yeah, KXY. I mean, I like this sort of aggression that he's playing with, but at a certain point, you do need to take the time to sort of step back and reload. So he is pretty much going all the way back to base at this point. That's going to give Papatuti some time to maybe not just catch up, maybe slightly eke out an advantage here in terms of the last hits as well. So some valuable time for Papatuti to try and sort of get some levels, get some more last hits, put himself in a stronger position moving forward. Meanwhile, down bot, Parker, well, he's without his support right now. A has sort of rotated away. I don't really think D2 Hustlers can do much to him, but by the same token, your Ricky's not exactly going to be able to make any moves here because he really does need that Viper to do much of anything. But A has actually rotated mid, looking to soak up some experience, while the Puck is pushing top, looking for the fight. They want in onto Yuma. He's not level 6 yet, so they could punish him here as the Dream Coil comes through, connecting onto 2. Waiting Rift out as well. Yuma's dead.
Pandago.
At Pandago, he's going to shield himself up. Is that enough? No, it is not. Pandago falls. Frugos, meanwhile, I don't really think you want to be here anymore. He's just going to back himself away before anyone comes looking for him.
And that's where you have to be cautious. This puck can rotate a lot easier than anyone else, and very simply, you just stick the Viper mid. You aren't able to get any of that tower pressure going for you.
Michael
and
wants
Papatuti. Yeah, wait a second here.
Frugos. Nobody else was going, though. So Michael, he wanted in. His teammates
And
were
here
more
comes the
concerned
Invoker. He canceled.
Did he cancel or did it get canceled? I mean, actually,
no,
A
he
can't do
canceled
anything
himself,
about it.
and
Right.
they lost the top tower too. And really, again, it's sort of repercussions felt across the map because of this Viper versus Timbersaw lane. Pandago saps a little bit more XP than he otherwise should, so Devi will be able to get his level 6 now, but that comes after your tier 1 tower has already fallen, where typically Devi would be sort of the vanguard in front, where you would block a lot of that damage, you would try to get aggressive, and while he will be able to get his level 6 now, again, it comes after the time that Infamous has already struck, so I mean, it's nice little small plays that are sort of getting them that little advantage that they've gone to accumulate.
Just playing, honestly, that little bit better than their opponents right now is Papatuti. You have to be a little bit careful there. He gets hit up by A, but no one else is really coming, so it's just the Viper, and Papatuti, he's
He's
still
walking.
pushing.
He's got the meteor.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Does
Tornado
Michael
Meteor
get him
gets
in
the kill, but
return,
now-
though?
Yep. Michael's in. Dream Coil is deployed. Silence comes through. This Invoker really has no means of defending himself right now, but well, he tried for the Ghost Walk. The dust is immediately popped, but Pandago wants in. He's going to drop down the shield. Papatuti still not dead just yet as the Deafening Blast creates a little bit of separation. Now
Oh, the
KXY is
lift.
just going to leave. No, he's not. Nice play in from Frugos, getting down the telekinesis. KXY has to try and get himself out here, but he has nothing. Ooh. Nothing left to work with is what I was going to say. The phase shift bought him a little bit of time, but it wasn't actually enough. Pandago comes in for the last bit of damage, and not only does the Invoker live there, he got both of those kills.
And I'm not entirely sure if Michael meant to do what he did there, but I think he placed the stone a little bit too close, and while he was able to get the kick damage, you weren't able to... And Michael, oh boy.
Parker wants in for the fight. That seems just too risky.
They're on
though. Michael's
Papatuti.
dropping low.
Oh, Papatuti might die?
Can he get himself out of this one? Tornado comes through. Parker needs that blink strike, but
Oh, no.
he doesn't go for it.
Okay.
Papatuti, that's twice now where he's been presumably kind of dead to rights, and he's able to sort of sneak himself away with the help of his teammates. So D2 Hustlers making some nice sort of plays to keep him alive, and they're getting more kills. Papatuti was able to pick up a kill and an assist in the previous fight. Now he gets that kill in onto Michael, and if you're Infamous, you got to be a little bit careful here. Early on like this, it's not going to be too bad, but if you continue sort of laying out for those sort of aggressive plays and it backfires, then you're handing over extra gold to that D2 Hustlers side.
And I think really it just came out to not being able to find that boulder smash and able to break the coil where they actually do need that damage. With the way that he's built himself up, this Invoker has 1300 HP. He's actually building drums. That's an item we very rarely see nowadays, but he is a very tanky man. He is not going to go down to your sort of normal burst. And I'm surprised we haven't seen Infamous place this ward up on the hill. Whenever they are playing Radiant versus Dire, they usually like to place it because it allows Michael to make those pretty easy plays where you can go for that dive. You can be aggressive and you have that vision in that sort of Dire tree line above the tier 1 tower where there you just don't. Parker doesn't have the knowledge and he doesn't feel comfortable enough to make that play. So instead, you just go back to farming, and that's exactly what D2 Hustlers do. They have 3 farming heroes. They have a tri-core lineup where Infamous, you sort of have a tri-core lineup, but that's only really just because Puck has the opportunity to get Witchblade. You're not going to feel this Puck really supply that damage, and really every misstep just means that Infamous's timeline is going to sort of get pushed back.
And meanwhile, down on the bottom lane, A waiting in the wings. They are sort of bringing over Michael as well. This is going to be a rough
Here
kill
comes
for
the
them
Puck.
either way, though. But yeah, KXY's in as well. Can they get down the Reaper's sight?
I think
They're
they
waiting
got him.
for it. They want the kill. There it is. Yeah. Mariano. To a certain extent, they wouldn't have needed the Scythe for the kill, but that extended death timer is going to sort of keep the Timbersaw off the map for that little bit longer. So you do always have that sort of play to make. Mariano gets the kill, but now middle lane, there's a bit of a push coming in from D2 Hustlers. Parker is here, though. Michael's TPing in as well. Frugo stole the Nether Toxin, so got to be a little bit careful here, but they're going to push their way forward. Frugo's in some trouble. Going to get silenced up, dropped low. Aphotic Shield is not going to be enough to save him. Now KXY, he wants further in, but the Dream Coil was already used previously to go after the Timbersaw earlier. So without that lockdown, they can't chase any further, but they save the tower, they get the kill, taking down the Rubik.
Yeah, it's very, very clean. It's all just striking right after you get the kill bottom. You TP mid, defend your tower on the cart. And that's something up until Yuma gets a little bit more farm, isn't able to do for his team. Again, if they want to get these early objectives, they need to push in with those carts. They need to have that sort of succinct play. And if they miss their timing, they can't make their play. They have to wait, even though you do have drums finished up on Papatuti, which, again, feels a little bit strange, feels a little bit weird, but it is going to allow him to sort of make a few more aggressive plays at least. It just doesn't give very much to you, and you're going to want to get boots as well, so I wonder if this gold could have been spent better elsewhere, but sort of a sign that Papatuti, with his sort of mixed bag build on Invoker that he likes to go for, is going to be fighting a little bit more than a Midas or a Spirit Vessel would sort of dictate. But again, it feels a little bit weird. It feels like there might have been better items.
Yeah, we'll see at the end of the day. Yeah, if they win the game, all's well that ends well, right? But for now, it just looks a little bit funky. But we'll have to see. Divine Llama, meanwhile, TP'd himself in, looking to defend that tier 1 tower, doing Timbersaw things as A. Gotta be a little bit careful here. He's sort of trapped in the middle of this river. He's trying to avoid the damage, but Frugos jumping in with the Stolen Illusory Orb that is going to allow them to find the kill, but now they need to be ready for the follow-up. Michael's going to come in, dropping down the Magnetize. Mariano Actually not looking to get too involved in this one. He's trying to sort of stagger that push into the fight as the Reaper Sight does go down onto Pandago, but now they need more. But that Tornado onto 3. The Meteor comes out as well, but the Dream Coil is still in there. The Waning Rift is deployed as well. They're going to get the Tricks of the Trade in for the damage, and Papa Tootie has been taken down. They burned through the Reincarnation, but they've got to get him a second time, and now I don't really know how much lockdown they have. They're going to give it a go, but I don't know. Oh, wow, Yumo, Jesus, just nuked down there. KXY hitting him a lot harder than I thought he would be able to. Now, yeah, Devi's got to just get himself out. The Timber Chain should keep him out of here. Parker.
He doesn't have stacks, so this could be bad.
Yeah, here he comes in with that smoke screen into the Tricks of the Trade. Is it enough?
Okay.
Yes, it is. Not quite maxed out, actually. Tricks, level 3, but it's going to be enough. Devi gets taken down, and as you said, he didn't have those stacks. I think he had them previously in that last fight, and they just sort of wore away, and not able to build them up in time. So Infamous will take that teamfight win, and now they're kind of eyeing up the middle lane here. They know someone's nearby.
They're trying to get on him.
And they get him. They get the silence down, but Parker's sort of splitting the focus here. He's going in after Frugo, so they're going to go for the easier kill in this situation as the Rubik will be locked down. That Tornado, though, does still come in. It's going to connect onto 2, but now KXY not going to jump to that orb. Instead, they're going to sort of regroup and focus in on the Tier 1 tower, but now Devi's back. TP's his way in. He's not going to let this tower go without a fight. The Chakram will be deployed, and Infamous really, I don't know. They could keep trying. They've got a new creep wave coming in, but this is starting to feel a little bit riskier for them.
And I think not having enough mana, I say that as KXY is just going to get a regen rune here. But the spells, they tickle coming in from this Invoker. Having this split up build, you do have some burst potential, but again, you have to hit absolutely everything. If something whiffs, if they sort of walk off everything, that's where this Necro feels pretty good. And yeah, top just barely able to survive, but this is your Wraith King forced back to the base again, and this is all sort of built around that timing that Parker was able to hit with his Diffusal Blade, where there's no real hero to sort of fight him, and all of these heroes are so vulnerable to silences. If anybody gets caught in it, it feels like the pressure is going to be immediately sort of put on them. And Invoker, again, one of the worst heroes versus this Riki. If he can stick on you, if he can stay aggressive, they're just going to get away with it. They're going to make these plays continuously. And it's just D2 Hustlers sort of dealing with the aggression right now. They're not able to play in those 2 to 3 lanes that they otherwise would want. They keep on having to bring all of their heroes.
See this near continuous group up in the middle lane, but
to
a certain extent, this is what they want. They're going to jump in. Papa Tootie is going to get hit up. They can't bring him down just yet, but the Dream Coil did get deployed onto 2. So this is sort of breaking up that opposing lineup. Michael now rolls in. He's going to drop the Magnetize down. The Reaper Scythe will be deployed as Papa Tootie will fall. Pandago now in trouble as well. Clipped by those Tricks of the Trade as Parker's going to be able to get the kill, but now they still need to deal with Devi, and
again, he's
actually,
dead.
Wow, they're dealing with it quite nicely. They hit him up with the double silence. They'll drop him down. Frugos, what are you doing in there? Jumped into the smoke screen, I believe, as he gets silenced up as well. And Infamous, they take the fight, they take the tower. That felt like it probably shouldn't have gone quite as nicely for them as it did, but that's 4 kills, and I mean, you lose A on the position 5 Viper, but you don't care about that sacrifice.
And now Parker, he's going for a Battle Fury. We're seeing the old Viper build, or the old Riki build, and they place this board that I said they like to place before, and they immediately collapse onto the Hustler side. And KXY, perfect coil. He breaks up the fight. He forces Pandago to pop his ultimate a little bit earlier to snap the coil, immediately pop it, but he doesn't get that much HP back, and they keep on having to sort of save Papa Tootie. At first, it looked really alien. It looked really weird what A was doing. He was just sort of walking up high ground with half HP into an Invoker, but Parker's there immediately with the punish. And really, the plays sort of continue to be made, and this is something that sort of talked about with the Puck, but even the Riki to a certain extent, they do not have lockdown on the Hustler's side, and KXY and Parker, they're just walking over them.
Away. They jumped in with 3. They're not able to get the kill. Pandago's dead. Papa Tootie's now down, and this is an absolute disaster. There's
into the
coil. Oh, man. Some excellent team fighting here from Infamous. They managed to get their way through the reincarnation. Are they set up to take him down a second time? As of right now, yeah, they are. Yuma can't get away. Silence
and if they look for Frug, they're going to find him. He doesn't have TP either. Man, they are just snowballing everything into a bigger and bigger lead. Man.
It just feels like one fight goes poorly for D2 Hustlers. You're thinking, okay, fine. Yeah, that fight doesn't go well, but regroup, reset, get back in. You can sort of pull it back into your favor. That is not even remotely close to what happened. Instead, Infamous just keep on going in over and over and over again. And as we've been repeatedly sort of saying, their team fight play is nearly flawless at this point. I can't really point to any particular play and say that was a mistake from anyone on the Infamous side. They're just sort of running absolutely crazy. roughshod over their opponents right now, and D2 Hustlers need to find some answers soon. They're nearly down by 10k already, and Michael is on the hunt, getting in on the Pandago. Not able to connect with the stun, though, but he does have reinforcements coming. This is not going to be a fun scenario. He does have the borrowed time on the Abba, but it's not going to be enough to save him. He's just trapped in the middle of all of this still, so it's just going to delay the death by a few seconds.
Yeah, and they're just continuing to make these plays. There's really nothing you can do counterplay-wise on the D2 Hustler side except for maybe farm up some more.
Opportunity. Reaper Scythe in onto him. Not enough for the initial kill, but yeah, they still got it. This is unbelievable. 18 kills in 18 minutes. They just keep on going. We've been talking so much about the fact that Infamous have been sort of building up faster and more up-tempo styles.
There's no reincarnation. He's kicked in the coil.
Coil drops. In some serious trouble here. He's silenced up as well, so really there's nothing he can do. He is going to be not dead yet. KXY. Okay. Doesn't want back in, but Michael does, rolling his way forward. Yuma in some trouble. Magnetize will be dropped in onto him. Is that going to be enough damage, though? Yuma's holding his ground. Pandago hits him up with a shield, and that... What happened there? We're just talking about how they're almost flawless in their teamfight execution.
He missed his rolling boulder. Yeah.
Master Curse coming in. We talked so much about how well they were playing, and then they do something like that, so... Ouch.
And that's something that Infamous sort of figured out whenever they made those early rotations with the Riki Diffusal. Something that these better teams are always able to figure out very, very quickly is what heroes do we need to bring? How can we assess these threats? What are these decisions that we're making? And every single time Infamous has brought 5, it feels like that's exactly what they needed to sort of walk over those fights. Where D2 Hustlers, they have the opposite issue. They need to figure out a way to split the lanes, get these fights sort of going in their direction where you force them to react to your aggression in the side lanes. They need to play a more farm-oriented play style. And Infamous, honestly, they're pairing up very well versus Hustlers, where there are 3 farmers on the Hustler side, and Infamous, they really have 3 fighters. They have these heroes that can get in, sort of do whatever they want. And once they figure out those hero combinations, that's where we start to see Infamous really start pulling further and further ahead. And of course, yeah, you had that one kill onto Yuma that you probably should have gotten. He missed one too many spells on the Earth Spirit. Who cares? You're still going to reset. You still have this 11k gold lead. And again, once Infamous decide to sync up again, if D2 Hustlers do have to make that sort of 5v5 fight, I can't imagine Hustlers are going to want that. They're going to want to start splitting up the map. They're going to want to play in these side lanes. Whereas Infamous, they're just going to do whatever they want. And getting this Roche, this is completely fine. Going to make one of your unkillable heroes even more unkillable. And nothing that D2 Hustlers can do. This is the forced 5v5 that they can't take.
Yeah, I mean, they get the Sunstrike in there so they know it's happening. It's just that they can't actually prevent it in any way. As Parker's going to be able to get the Aegis, and now Infamous going for the 5-man
with an Invis. Frug.
Oh boy. KXY sees his moment, pushing in. Frugos is just straight up dead. Nothing he can do. Dead before the silence even wears off. Meanwhile, Divide, I don't know about this one. He's now trapped inside of the smoke screen. The nether toxin's applied to him, and he's gone. Reaper Scythe in for Mariano for the kill, and Infamous, I mean, they're just absolutely rolling here. 2 quick picks off the back of that Roche attempt, and I don't know, they've got the siege creep up in the middle lane. That cart is online, so they could try to threaten up some objectives here as well.
Yeah, and really just a buy right into the loving hands of 3 Infamous heroes. And they're doing the right play. Of course, Roche is something that you did just give up as well, so you'd hope you'd be able to get more out of the map, but I don't think D2 Hustlers... Oh, yeah.
No mercy.
Well,
rolls
Pandago.
in. Pandago gets hit up, and there's going to be the ult, but now the roll, stunning him up. Tornado in from Papatuti, though. That'll buy a little bit of time. And I don't know if they want to go that much further forward. Yeah, the Riki is going to sort of back himself away there. He has the Aegis, but that's not really where you want to have to use it. So they pop the ult, and they're back onto the tier 2 tower anyway, so they're still probably going to get the objective they want here. They have to wait a little while longer as the glyph will be deployed, but yeah, they've still gone.
And really, Mariano has not skipped a beat. He has Kai Assange, he has a Solar Crest. He got that Kai Assange, I think, 15 or 16 minutes into the game, and KXY, all he has to fear is the lift. Of course, okay, that smokescreen is pretty terrifying if the Rubik's able to get it, but at the same time, I think the D2 Hustlers should have cut their losses. They should have stopped making plays a lot sooner. They probably could have gotten a lot more farm on their cores if they made the decision to just not fight and farm way earlier, because this lead is, you know, almost insurmountable. It feels like now Papatuti, he just finished his treads. That is his item. It feels like nothing is coming out from this Invoker. Sort of questioned the drums build earlier, and now that he's working towards that Yule Scepter, these cute plays, they're not going to work versus Infamous. They're just going to continue to build up more and more damage, more and more threat, and I don't really know what you do if you D2 Hustlers. You need a Blink Dagger on Yuma almost at this point. He's working towards Sanj and Yasha, so that way he doesn't need to worry about being stunned up as much. But the magic, honestly, it feels like a combination, but it's really just coming in from Ricky. Everyone else is magic damage, and there isn't that solution yet. Even Devi Lama, he's going for his own BKB. He's feeling like he needs to be a little bit more selfish, and I think it's that sort of mentality that is really starting to punish the D2 Hustler side. And okay, KXY is gonna not jaunt to that orb bottom, but still, they're just sort of farming and getting to push in all these lanes and then catching D2 Hustlers on the way out. And Pandego, maybe.
Jay wants it. He's in there to get the silence down. Pandego's gonna get hit up. Borrowed time, though. Keeping him alive for now, but again, just like the last time, it's really just gonna delay the death by a few seconds, as he should still fall. A gets the kill, and if you're Infamous, that's not exactly the highest value kill, but it is going to lead them into potential opportunities here. Elsewhere on the map is look at KXY pushing in. He spotted Papatuti, able to hit him up with the Dream Coil. They've got down the damage.
It's a solo kill. Michael will snipe it.
Okay, cool. Michael's like, no, that's mine. Thank you. Able to steal that away, but that's Papatuti dead again. This Invoker really is not getting much for himself here. We talked about that item build being a little funky. He's trying for the Yules, and I do believe he has enough gold for it once he respawns, but he's on the sideline once again, and now they're pinging out Devi. They know where he is.
And he has to TP home. And this is just more towers, more farm, more net worth. I think every single kill has been another 1,000 gold lead tick up. And really, everyone is just playing around each other perfectly. They send one hero back, push in the mid wave. They still have 2 of their tier 1 towers. The only tower that D2 Hustlers have been able to get is that bottom tower that they took ages ago, it feels like. Everything else has just not been going their way. And even though you have this Sanj, you have this Radiance on Yuma, and he is sort of trying to get into that top 3 net worth-wise, you have fallen so far behind on every other aspect of the game. The bright side is they don't have a fantastic tower pusher on the Infamous side, but I think they're just going to try to kill you. I think they're just going to ignore heroes and... oh, Frug.
Well, time to sacrifice yourself for the greater good, as Frugos will be taken down. He's able to get his teammates away, though.
KXY bottom.
Uh-oh. Oh. Does he go for it? The orb would have still sort of gotten him into range, but he would have needed detection as well, and that's sort of where KXY is a little bit lacking right now. So
they scan a hero looking for the Wraith King. Instead, they're going to find the Abba, and well, I don't know if Michael keeps up the chase, but he's got a Yule Scepter, so
he just needs to wait for reinforcements, and they will have this play. Pandego, well, once again has the borrowed time, but once again, the borrowed time won't save him. Meanwhile, down bot, yeah, bit of a different fight breaking out. KXY is able to jump away. A, though, he's going to get stunned up, and now Parker's lost his Aegis, but he's in there with the tricks of the trade. They're dropping Yuma low immediately. He's still stuck in the silence, so they're able to burn through that ult. A should be taken down here in exchange, but now the puck is into the fight. They brought the reinforcements, but Parker's a little bit low on HP. He is going to pop the Essence Ring, but it's more of a defensive measure. They're just backing themselves away. They realize at this point D2 Hustlers have a lot of heroes in the area, so everybody backs off. It ends up being just a 1-for-1 trade on those supports at the end of the day, but Infamous are sort of regrouping. They're hanging out in this east side jungle, still waiting to see...
no ulti on Yuma.
Waiting to see if Yuma gets greedy, basically, as KXY is going to jump in. They've got the play. Can Yuma be taken down here? They hit him up with the silence into the... yeah, secondary silence from the smoke screen. Yuma's gone. He's... yeah, going to be taken down. Michael dead as well. Frugos, meanwhile... yeah, that was not the greatest of plans, but Tornado buying him a little bit of time. No, not enough. Parker jumping forward with that Blink Strike will be able to find the kill as he picks up both of those in the bottom lane, and this is really what Infamous want with this game. They're just sort of going in, ebb and flow kind of situation. They back off for just a moment, but just long enough to regroup and then immediately push back in.
And that's where Infamous, sure, that was the call that you need to make if you are D2 Hustlers, right? You see 2 heroes killing your Abaddon. Pandego's probably kicking and screaming, saying, go kill them, guys. There's only 1 or 2 heroes here. That's all you need. And then what do you get? You aren't able to take the Aegis out. You are able to find, I think, 1 pick onto the Earth Spirit, but you have to use Yuma's ultimate, and everything is just them TPing back to their base to deal with Infamous's aggression, and that's why this lead is just becoming further and further in the Infamous favor, because every single time these D2 Hustlers try to get out onto the map, they get maybe 2-3 creep waves, and then they have to come back, because Infamous are just running at you relentlessly. They are always looking for these heroes, and Yuma... oh, okay, with the coil too, so that's kind of big, but still, it's continuing to be a problem that D2 Hustlers don't have a fantastic solution to unless they just straight up win the fight. But again, the net worth lead, it's deafening. It feels like as they continue to go forward, they could very sort of casually wait for this next Aegis if they wanted to. They're just looking for even more plays.
They're able to silence him up, but that doesn't cancel the chain, so he's still able to pull himself back. Tornado in from Papatuti helped to sort of create a bit of a distraction, and they do get him away, but Infamous are just constantly always on the hunt, looking for these openings. As you said, they don't necessarily have maybe a lineup that's fantastic at sort of pushing through objectives, pushing onto the high ground, so they just keep on looking for those picks. They're going to try and force D2 Hustlers into more and more sort of maybe drastic measures, and if they can continue to win those fights, then they're going to start chipping away at those defenses as well. As we see Mariano in his way into the south side jungle, he's going to run right into Papatuti here.
Oh, he's looking, but
Michael, okay, that's unfortunate. Michael tried to roll in, but he actually rolls into that tornado as well. But Papatuti, he's still in some trouble. They need the detection, but they actually don't have it. So the Invoker is getting himself away. He's got the TP. He just needs a safe spot, and he will be getting out.
But again, if they're not finding a counterplay on the other side of the map, and oh, goodbye, Frug, you are TPing heroes back. You are not farming. You're getting your 2-3 creep waves, great, but you're not finding these counterplays. And now Divide, what have you done?
He's just getting chunked. Look at that. He's not even remotely tanky in that situation. Mariano feeling like he doesn't even need the Reaper Scythe, although I think he is going to try to deploy it now, but nope, he'll hold it. Divide gets taken down. A will be picked off as well, but now Yuma, this is the wrong side of the fight. His teammates are too far away to help him, and he does have the ult still,
He's
so
gonna
he
let
should be
Mariano
back
handle
up,
this. Oh boy.
Here's the problem. He's back in, and he's going to get immediately hit by Michael. Nice roll in. Dream Coil, meanwhile, thrown out onto the backside, so Pandego and Papatuti can't even help. Yeah. Yuma dead. Pandego dead. Papatuti dead. Just an absolute slaughter here again and again.
And KXY, still standout player on his team, finds the two heroes in the background. He's been the one really chasing just everyone down back to the base. He has a full Aghanim Scepter almost on his hero. He really hasn't skipped a beat. And I continue to wonder, sort of, why Papatuti? Why not have a Midas? Why not look for that late game play? And it really comes back to the idea that they fought a little bit too much. They let Infamous sort of get their one item timing, and it really was a slight item timing. It was literally just the Diffusal Blade. They play mid a little bit too long, and it feels like everything sort of stems back to that, where their lineup could have been getting plays done in the silence. They could have been forcing in these creep waves, and while Infamous, they have this Boots of Travel on KXY, he would be able to deal with the split push. If they're not fully committed to that play style, you can't half-ass it. You can't play fight style and we're going to split the lanes and have a tri-core setup, because you fall behind so heavily. And while we have them sort of farming up now, all of the kills, all of the net worth lead on the Puck and the Necro are just from kills. Everything has just been them slaughtering them over and over and over, and they're not even going to fight this Roche. Why? Because they literally can't. They're in such a big deficit. They haven't been able to play their game plan at all. And honestly, after that 5-man wipe near the tier 3, I'm surprised they didn't GG out. I think the only reason they didn't GG out is because they don't have that pushing power. They don't have the ability to just barrel down, get a Luna or something, and hit those tier 3 onto the racks. They're going to make them work for the kills, but at the same time, if I'm Hustlers, I think they're just going to kill you. It's 26k gold lead 30 minutes into the game. I don't think the game gets very much prettier for you.
Yeah, and I mean, you talked about it. We see them now trying to sort of make that adjustment. Now they're trying to avoid fights, farm up. But now you're down by 27,000 net worth. Now it's not effective in the way that it was going to be had you made this decision about 15 to 20 minutes ago. So the adjustment is there. It just might be too late for it to have the effect that they need. Hustlers have to massively draw out this game, and at that point they may still need mistakes from their opponents to be able to jump back into it. So I'm not really sure what they can do here. They're still sort of maybe thinking that Infamous aren't going to be able to sort of push it onto the high ground onto them, but they've got Aegis and Cheese now, so this is probably the best opportunity that Infamous have had so far to try and finally break through. But at this point, they're not exactly grouped up for this. They're still kind of looking for those pick plays, so it's not quite into that siege mode just yet, but you feel it sort of approaching that point. The creep waves are starting to push in across really every single lane, so they may just try to make this happen as KXY jumped into the base. They can't really kill him.
He does not care. Yeah. He's got Aegis, he's got Ags. If anything, they're afraid of getting turned on themselves. And that's why we see Divide setting himself up to cut these waves to try and be as obnoxious as possible. But again, it doesn't feel like they're going to leave. They're just going to continue now. They're forcing themselves in. And actually, oh, we found the coil.
Coil on to 2. They're going to try and take down Papa Tutti first. The Yule Scepter will keep him alive, but he's still stuck in the smoke screen, so he's silenced up and taken down. Immediate buyback, though, coming in from Papa Tutti as he's going to try to rejoin the fight. Throwing out the Sunstrike, but it's not really going to do all that much damage. Meanwhile, Parker in for the kill. They've taken down Frugos. They're going to try to sort of reset, though, as they are relatively low on HP, and it looks like they're going to be able to back themselves away, but KXY is still sort of stuck in there, but he has the Aegis, so he is taken down once, but he's going to be back in. The question is, does anyone come to defend him? Right now, the answer appears to be no, so KXY is going to have to do it himself. Can he get away? No. Telekinesis is going to lock him down, and they do manage to bring him out. They kill off KXY.
He had a blink dagger. I don't know. KXY just call it lag, Kale, but this is maybe an opening now if D2 Hustlers are able to find some of these key heroes, but here we go, Parker. Oh, he's just going to buy back.
Okay,
he is not happy.
Into it. And Devi's dead. Reaper Scythe locks him down. Yuma is now going to have to sort of fall back as well, as D2 Hustlers had maybe a little bit of a glimmer of hope there, a moment where they could have pushed forward, but they immediately get too far forward with Devi, and now the siege continues. Infamous are back up. KXY doesn't have the Aegis this time, but without Devi, I really don't know if D2 Hustlers have that sort of frontliner. It would have to effectively be Yuma, and I'm not sure if he's fully comfortable in that role. They are going to try and push their way in. The Riki is dropping low. Can they bring Parker down? No. Cheese is going to be eaten. Parker just got his Daedalus flown out to him in the middle of that fight as well, so he has more damage to work with, and they're going to try and go in. Papa Tutti just blown up. No chance there as he is gone. That's his dieback. He is down for 70, and I don't know about this one. Yuma's going to give it a go, but the Yule Scepter will throw him up in the air. He's stuck inside of that smoke screen, actually kicked back into it as well. They will be able to finish him off. The Reincarnation should bring him back in, but he's got so many heroes on top of him. It's going to be tough for him to sort of take this engagement, especially now with his support being taken away. Frugos is picked off. Yuma will fall as well. And that really should do it, as you were saying. There's a buyback left on the Wraith King, but yeah, he's not even going to bother. GG will be called. That is going to be Infamous taking the first match of this best of 3.
Yeah, and you see Parker, he really wanted to use that Daedalus a little bit more in this game, but 31k gold lead, 34 minutes into the game, it feels like D2 Hustlers felt lost. It felt like they didn't have a clear-cut idea on what they wanted to do with their lineup. It felt like while they got their comfort heroes, while they got the lanes that they were ultimately pretty happy with, you had this last pick Necro that you had to contend with. You knew that he was going to come line at a certain point. You even know about the Diffusal Blade coming out from that Riki, but it feels like D2 Hustlers, they didn't make the call. They didn't make the rotations early enough. They didn't decide, hey guys, our lineup is not good at this. We need to wait a second here. We have those little misplays where, sure, we got those maybe 3 or 4 kills mid where they try to kill Papa Tutti. That's great and all. Mid tower's still there, but we can't keep fighting. We need to get Yuma on the sidelines. We need to get Devi farmed. That was the poorest I think I've seen Devi, Llama, Timbersaw this entire tournament. And really just the slow decision making. We know as these teams get better and better, as we see sort of the weaker teams get weeded out by this lower bracket, the decision making needs to be lightning quick. You need to be able to decide this is the game plan going forward. We need to make these calls. We need to go before it's too late. And even though you really have every single comfort hero you could want on the Hustlers side, Infamous, they just worked you. You didn't have a solution. They doubled down on the mobility strat where Puck and Riki, they don't have a hero to hold them down. They don't really care about you. And coming from Infamous, it felt like such an Infamous game. They end with more kills than there were minutes in that game. It just felt like at every point they ran at you. They ran you back to your fountain. You had to TP back so many times, and you just ended up so far behind.
And this is the new style for Infamous. It's something that they employed often enough before, but with the addition of Parker, they've really just sort of fully leaned into this. They go fast, they go hard, and D2 Hustlers in this instance were simply unable to deal with it. So Infamous get themselves the win here in Game 1. They're one more victory away from advancing to that lower bracket final for a chance to play up against Undying. So if they can play like they did here in Game 1 in that second match, they are very much going to be sort of in line for a potential 2-0 sweep. So D2 Hustlers will have to make some adjustments here. They're going to have to be ready. Infamous are going to come at them again. It's almost guaranteed that they'll try for a similar sort of up-tempo style. So D2 Hustlers will need to be prepared for that. If they're not, then things could go poorly. But we'll see what adjustments come through, what the draft looks like for that second match, as we're going to be hopping into a bit of a break. But when we return, it will be Game 2 between Infamous and D2 Hustlers.